What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Taylor Hinton Speaks His Mind, the #1 online health and fitness podcast where I help my clients, in this particular Form Friday, go through their exercises, make sure they're doing everything properly. How do I know how to do that? Well, it's because I have an amazing community where I have over 80 clients, nearly 90 here, and we have a specific community group. We call it Lift and Learn. It's kind of like a Facebook page, but it's only for our clients. It's a private thing. It's not on another platform. It's just on our exclusive app. And this is where every single day our clients, when they're doing their workouts, they want some feedback on what they're doing. They take a video of themselves in the gym. They post it inside of this particular community page called Lift and Learn. And then every single Friday, I go live, I share my screen, and I walk them through step by step the things that I like, the things that I don't like. If they can't make it, this is all recorded, of course, so make sure that you're watching this or subscribe on Apple Podcasts. I'd really appreciate it. You could also just go to my YouTube page at HintonNation_coaching, same as the Instagram. Go ahead and give me a follow or a subscription there. Really appreciate it. Share it with somebody who you think we get a lot of benefit from it. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So if you're watching this as a client, you can watch this live. If you're on Facebook, you could actually go to my Facebook page and watch this live. And then, of course, the recording will be on YouTube, so you can watch it there too. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go directly into that app, and I'm going to share with you guys exactly what my clients are doing. So if you're watching this on Instagram, you only have to see my ugly face, unfortunately. But if you go to YouTube or you go to Facebook after this, then you can absolutely go ahead and see what I'm seeing. So we've got right now Cameron back. Cameron is Rayanne's husband, and he just got started up. Really excited for him. And we're just looking at his assessments. So his assessments right now, he's got body weight squats, body weight lunges, and he's going to do some push-ups for us. And then as we progress over time, we start doing some more stuff. We're going to see some bigger changes. Cam, I like this overall. Okay, one thing that we want to really focus on is always trying to get our hip crease as low as our kneecap, okay? That's the idea. Always want to get our hip crease as low as our kneecap when we're squatting. Okay, there's nothing wrong with your knees going over your toes, by the way. So if you're worried at all about, hey, like I can't let my knees go over my toes, it's bad for my back, blah, 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 that's bullshit. It's not true. You don't have to worry about that. It's been disproven a million times. And if you want a simple, like just clear, obvious, validation for that statement, I guess, go ahead and just take a look at like heaviest squatters in the world. Like go on Google and search up like heaviest back squat or Olympic power clean squat. You're going to see people who have the best technique, the strongest people in the world with the best technique, and their knees are traveling very, very far over their toes because that is optimal for knee health and back health. It's best to do it that way, okay? So with that being said, let's take a look here. Again, the depth is going to be the one thing because right now at the bottom, you're getting like basically about halfway as deep as we want to. So that's item number 1. And then item number 2 here is at the top, you're really like emphasizing the squeezing of the glutes and thrusting the hips forward. And we don't need to do that because if anything, that is really just going to put a little bit more strain on your low back. Now, when you're doing body weight stuff, you really don't have to worry about any injuries. You'd have to be like actively trying to sabotage yourself or hurt yourself to get injured. But with that being said, as you progress, lift heavier weights, get stronger. If we have this poor technique of like squeezing the glutes and emphasizing this hip thrust at the top, what that can do is it can create a lot of pressure on your lower back. That can cause an injury. Just think about it this way. Like gravity is pulling you straight down into the earth, right? So when you have your joints stacked on top of each other, like watching this video, right? You've got your shoulders, your spine vertically stacked onto your hips, vertically stacked onto your knees, vertically stacked onto your ankles. There's no like tension created in the glutes here. Whether you keep your glutes like totally relaxed or you squeeze your glutes is completely irrelevant. It's not going to increase tension or grow glutes or make them stronger by squeezing your glutes at the top because the tension is stacked on top of the joints. But if we were to flip you sideways so that your stomach and chest were facing the ceiling and you were doing, say, a hip thrust, well, now the weight is directly on top of the glutes. And when you're at that stretch position where you lower your hips down in a hip thrust, then you're going to create a lot of tension. And that, when you squeeze your hips up, that's going to create a lot of tension. It's going to hurt. It's going to, in a good way, it's going to increase tension on the muscle tissue. But there's no tension being created on the squat or even like a Romanian deadlift. Like, yes, at the bottom of a Romanian deadlift, so like here's where there is tension in the glutes, at the bottom of the squat, okay? There's tension here, but there's no tension at the top. At the top, there's nothing happening, okay? I don't know if I explained that very well, but hopefully I did. What's up, Raven? Good to see you here. We're just taking a look at some videos. We got Alternating lunges looks pretty good. I don't think there's anything really for us to worry about on that one. Nice work. Push-ups, not too bad either. Your stomach, your core is like super, super chill right now. Like not in a good way. You're very, very relaxed. See this huge curve you have in your back? Like you're totally relaxed your core. Your glutes are sticking way up in the air, and we have this big like U shape happening right now, okay? So what I need you to do is squeeze your glutes, tuck your pelvis forward, and make your low back nice and flat. What we want to have is right from the top of your shoulders all the way to your glutes, we want to have a perfectly straight line. Like your back should be a perfectly straight line. So the easiest way to think about doing that is like you have to tighten up your core, okay? Squeeze your abs and tuck your pelvis forward so that you can flatten out that low back, because this big curve back here tells me that you're really, really relaxed down here. You're not engaging your core. Does that mean it's going to lead to injuries? No, it's just a push-up. There's no added weight or anything like that. But it's just poor technique, okay? You don't have to have your elbows tucked as tight. You can if you want. This is definitely emphasizing a lot more triceps, but it's not mandatory, and you won't necessarily feel as strong right here. So if you want to widen your hands just a touch and then have your elbows kind of flare out at a 45-degree angle, so not straight out to the side, but if you were like right here with your hands a little bit wider, you're probably going to feel a lot more powerful, okay? We got a message in the chat. Let's take a look and see what Raven's got. She's just saying good morning. Good morning to you too. Good to see you, as always. Okay. So that is that for Cameron. Cameron, hope that makes sense. Okay, Maddie. What's up, Maddie? Super excited for her. Maddie started off her program, and I want to say like mid-October, maybe early October or something like that. She's already down 13 pounds. It was so funny because I was going through her review, and when I was doing her review a couple days ago, I was like, man, you know, like, let me go back and see exactly what her goals were. I knew that it was like fat loss was one of the primary goals, but like, let's go back. I want to see exactly what it is, because we were at this pivotal point in her program where it was time to make like a pretty significant shift. And I wanted to make sure that we're mapping everything out really well. So I went into her form. I didn't get a whole lot of like specific details around her goals. And then I went into our chat on Instagram because like, okay, that's where we first started chatting, obviously. And I was looking at our chat, and like her goal that she told me at the time was, I want to lose like maybe 5 pounds before the new year, right? And this would have been in like September before she signed up. She's like, I want to lose like maybe 5 pounds before the new year. I think that would be ideal. And then, you know, like get stronger. And so far in 2.5 months or something, she's lost 13 pounds. So it was before the new year happened, because it's only January 2nd now. She lost 13 pounds. She's hitting PRs. She's getting way more consistent. And shout out to her, she just renewed as well. So we're going to be working together for a full year, and I'm so fucking excited to see what she's going to be doing. So right now we got her testing week. Okay, this is Maddie doing her testing week. Couple of videos, deadlift and back squat, cool. And then Sarah was like, holy shit, girl, you're strong. Miss you, by the way. Can't wait to see you Saturday. Yeah, so we've got our in-person event. I'll touch on that real quick. Quick sidebar. Talked about it a lot. It's full. You guys have filled up the event. Really excited to see our clients. We're going to have 14 of us, including me and Angela, at Chilliwack, Poseidon, and Cold Plunge on Saturday, which is tomorrow at 10 a.m. So we got 25 hours before it launches, baby. Super excited. We're going to spend an hour and a half cold plunging, sauna, connecting, setting some goals for each other, holding each other accountable, and just like building this amazing community that we have. So let's see what we got. Am I playing this video? Here we go. Oh, it's just one rep, right? Yeah. One solid ass rep. Okay, so that looks really, really good. The way that you lower the weight, you're kind of like RDLing the weight down, right? Because look at your hip position. Your hips are so high that it's making your back perfectly flat, like parallel with the floor with the bar on the ground. This isn't automatically a bad thing. Like you could technically do this, and this actually is a technique with a specific deadlift variation where you do a traditional conventional deadlift to start, just to lift the weight up, and then a Romanian deadlift to lower the weight back down. Once you get down to the ground like you are here, what you would do is you would sink your hips back down, pull your chest back up, and then do that conventional deadlift to stand up again and repeat the process. So overall, we're going to take a look at this video a few more times. I really like her technique with this. You're going a lot slower on the way down than you need to. Like on a 1 rep max, it's okay. Just bring the weight down, rest 4 minutes, put another 2.5 pounds each side, try again for another PR. We're going to take a look at it from the top a few times. I want to pause it here. Okay, there we go. I can't pause it. There we go. So everyone's anatomy is going to be a little bit different. Okay, keep that in mind. It's because a lot of people might look at this video and be like, oh, her hips are too high. Well, yeah, maybe for you. But maybe for her, she feels really comfortable here. And personally, I also feel a lot better when I'm doing like a higher, when my hips are in a higher position doing my conventional deadlift. I just genuinely feel stronger. I've tried bringing my hips back down. I feel like I'm using too much quad. I feel like my quads are a little bit weaker. And it just straight up, without overanalyzing it, is just I feel weaker in that position. So I bring my hips up a little bit more. I feel a lot stronger. Cool. Good. Maybe my back is playing a bigger role in it and I have a stronger back. Who knows? But that's where I'm at with it. Taking a look at her positioning here. So her armpits are down towards her hips, which looks really good. Her back is nice and flat. That looks really good. The bar is pressed up right against her shins. So she's in an amazing starting position. Let's take a look at the rest of the lift. So another thing that I really like, we're only, the bar is about midway through her shin at this point. She's only a few inches off the ground. And one thing that I really like is that we didn't see this, like, we call it grip and rip. We didn't see her just like rip the bar off the floor without having first created tension in the bar. What I mean by that is that, imagine this for a second. When you put, looks like she did have 2.5 pound plates on there too. When you put a plate onto a barbell, and then if you were to like grab the bar and keep the weight steady on the ground and you could like pull the bar up and down, you can hear a little clicking sound, right? Like the metal of the bar inside the plate, and it's making that little tiny clicking sound because obviously the bar has to be small enough to fit inside the plate, right? We're all on the same page. When people grip and rip, what they do is they let that bar sit at the bottom inside the plate, and then they just grab the weight and they rip it off the ground as hard as they can really fast. In theory, that sounds proper, right? It sounds correct to rip the weight off the ground as fast as you can from the start because you're generating more power now. You're not wasting any energy. As soon as you start trying to exert energy, you're trying to lift the weight. So the faster you can lift it up, the more energy you can save, blah, blah, blah. All of that kind of stuff makes sense in theory. But the problem with that is when you're not properly engaging your core first, when you're not properly engaging, creating tension in the bar. What I mean by that is like you're gripping the bar, you're driving your feet into the floor, pulling your chest up. The weight's not coming off the ground yet, but you are now exerting yourself by pressing your feet into the floor very, very hard and creating that tension where now the bar is not resting at the bottom inside the plate, but it's pressing up hard against the top of the plate. What you're doing essentially is you're transferring all the weight from the bar into the floor, into your hands and into your feet. And now when you start in that position with an engaged core and you stand straight up, one, your bar path is going to be much cleaner, straight up and straight down. Because if you just grip and rip, like there's no tension. So it's going to do a little bit of shaking. And that's going to be wasted energy and high risk of injury. So create that tension, pull your chest up, and then explode out of the ground once you've created the tension and your core is nice and tight. Okay? And she did a really good job of that. Again, watch what she's doing here. We don't see this herky-jerky motion from the ground. It's a smooth, clean, straight up lift. Straight up off the floor. Cool. She's keeping her head down, so she's trying to keep her spine neutral. A lot of people will like crank their head up. It's actually not the end of the world if you crank your head up because ultimately the tension isn't the force isn't shearing straight down onto your neck. So it's okay for you to have your head up, in this vertical plane. But if you were to like twist or turn or dip your head down, that would potentially cause a problem, as you could probably imagine, right? So overall, I think this lift is really, really clean. Really happy with where you're at with that, Maddie. I'm super curious to know, did you have straps on? If not, oh my God, you could lift even more with straps. And even if you didn't, I still think that you can do a little bit more. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to like make that assessment for yourself. And it always looks so much easier in the video than it actually feels in real life. I know this firsthand because I'll take a video of me doing like a really heavy lift because I'm really proud. I'm like, wow, that was like pretty much as I could possibly lift. And I watched the video and it looks like a warm up. So I get that part of it too. But yeah, I think that you're definitely strong enough to go for a little bit more. Okay, so we're looking at her back squat now, and I haven't even started the video yet. I just switched over to it from the deadlift, and I'm noticing within the first second, you're really sitting your hips back. Now, we have mentioned this before, probably to you. I know I've mentioned it to other people too. Initiate your back squat by doing a slight good morning, and it looks like you're doing that right now, but I am noticing something that I suspect, and we'll take a look at the rest of the video, could hurt your lift a little bit. One, your feet look really, really narrow. Okay, you have to assess like where your foot position should be based on where your hips are. And that's just something that's genetically gifted to you. So in your case, Maddie, you do have a wide set hips. You have a very narrow stance. You probably, what most people will find is that matching your foot width with your hip width or even slightly outside hip width will make you feel much stronger in the lift. So for me, I actually have like relatively narrower hips, but I like to have like a wider stance, slightly wider than my hips, and most people will feel the same way. If your foot stance is slightly wider than your hip stance, you probably are going to be more optimal in terms of strength and stability in that case. Now let's take a look at the rest of the lift. The other thing too is that it looks like you're really putting all your weight on your heels. You're really keeping your feet, your toes off the ground. This looks like it's going to be a really good morning, or if you had the bar holding in a deadlift position, a really good Romanian deadlift. But let's see if you are able to shift your weight. We don't ever want to really shift our weight in the middle of our lift, but I would like to see more pressure on your toes. Let's see what happens. Okay. So yeah, this is what's happening here is that, Maddie, for you, again, I think the biggest issue for you is that your feet are too narrow. And what's happening, if you were to just like strip the flesh away and think about, like, imagine your bones, right? Your thigh bone is bumping into your hip bone because your feet are too close together. So as you squat down, you probably feel a little bit of this uncomfortable pinch at the bottom of your squat, and you're like, I can't squat any deeper than this, right? Like, my body won't let me. Well, that is the case because your feet are so narrow, and at the bottom of there we go, pause. At the bottom of this, your thigh bone is bumping into your hip bone. So how we can fix this is widen your stance, okay? And then position your toes slightly outwards. So they're not straight forward, but slightly outwards. It looks like they are slightly outwards, which is good. Okay, what this is going to allow you to do is, instead of squatting really far back and putting your weight on your heels, it's going to allow you to stay a little bit more upright and squat straight down. So your hips are coming straight down. If you do that with knees a little bit wider, you're creating space for your hips to kind of sink in between your thighs. Okay, does that make sense? And that's going to allow you to get the proper depth, because unfortunately, we didn't quite get the depth that we needed. It's close, but look at your hip crease, look at your kneecap. We still have 3-4 inches maybe that we need to get in terms of depth. So I would really like to see, like, I'm going to have your program ready for next week. Okay, we are going to have back squats in here, and I really want to see you continue sending more videos until we get this form dialed in, because you're going to be so much fucking stronger when you start doing this the way that I ask you to. Okay, Jasmine, let's take a look and see. Someone was using the other area to do pull-ups, so I had to use this, and there's no assisted pull-up machine in this gym, unfortunately, for her testing week. So I actually already did take a look at these because I was taking some videos for Jasmine's transformation post that I put up. You guys should definitely see it. It was really impressive. Jasmine, you're so fucking close to getting a full pull-up right now, which is crazy because you've lost 70 pounds and now you're sitting here about to do your first pull-up, when, like, being able to do a bodyweight lunge was basically impossible when we first started. So yeah, Jasmine, you come a long ass way, dude. Really good. Really cool. Really good to see. I still just really don't like your deadlift stance. I think I've said this a few times, but I just think that your deadlift stance is really, really wide. Yeah, you're getting so wide. It is too wide. It's not even me thinking it is. Me thinks it is. It's just too wide. You need to bring your feet in a little bit, okay? And then that's going to allow you to bring your hands in a little bit. You're stronger. You're more stable there. You're probably getting really good hamstring and glute activation doing this, which is great if we're, like, trying to specifically isolate those muscle groups. But for the purpose of doing this deadlift for you, I do want you to do, I do want it to be a strength-focused exercise. That's what we're testing, right? We're not testing how big of a burn we can get. We're testing the strength that you have. And the other thing too here is, like, maybe I got to double check your profile and see if I fucked something up, but this is supposed to be a 1 rep max, right? And maybe you did do a 1 rep max, but you filmed the warm up, I hope that you filmed the actual working set too, because this is not a 1 rep max. This is not something we could use for a test, right? This is 3, let's see, 4, good, and 5. So it looks like a valid set. It's just not a 1 rep max, right? I can't reasonably take your 135 RPE 8 and then, extrapolate that into a 1 rep max deadlift. So please let me know. Please tell me that you did do a 1 rep max, or at least a 2 rep max, and ideally took a video as well, because I'd like to see. I've seen somebody else send me their 1 rep max deadlift and it looked like a warm up, so I have to kind of judge, because we're not obviously in person, you doing your thing across the country and the other side of the country. I have to take a look at how much weight you lifted, how many reps you did, and how intense it looked, and then I can come up with a more accurate 1 rep max representation, okay? Sarah, feeling my bar path on my back squats is getting better. I know I need to get deeper, but hopefully that's improving too. Should I go up in weight or should I try to get deeper first? And as far as my split squat, again, deeper, I'm sure, but I'm just starting to do them not holding on to something, so I want to check everything else first. Let's see. Let's see here. Okay, good setup. Only a couple steps to get set up properly, which is nice. And we need to work on that depth. Yeah, I think we just need to work on the depth. Is just it's the constant theme here. It's getting better actually. That last rep there just looked really good. Let's take a look at that again. That's probably some of the best depth that you've gotten so far. You're getting pretty close. And honestly, Sarah, if I'm to be super honest with you, let's see, like your thighs are actually pretty jacked. Okay, like look at your quads. Look at this giant bolus round ass muscle here. Like you've got some good legs. We're just gonna strip away that fat. You're gonna go deeper in your squat. It's getting better. It actually is getting noticeably better. So you should be proud of that. That was good, especially the last 2 reps. I really like that. And then is this another? Yeah, this is a different set. What's up, Rayanne? Yeah, your squat is getting significantly better. I think what would help a lot, Sarah, too, is as part of your warm up, what you should do is you should get a kettlebell or like a 40-pound dumbbell or something, hold it in a goblet position, and just squat down to the bottom, even maybe like a 30-pound. Like we don't want it to be crazy heavy or anything like that. We're okay with getting a bit of a burn, but I would like for you to really try to open up your hips a little bit. So get a goblet, okay, a dumbbell in that goblet squat where your chin's kind of just touching and you're resting, the dumbbell vertically like this. Your chin's like just resting on it. And then I want you to have like a wider stance than normal. And I want you to just squat down and just hold that squat. Just sit down there, relax down there. Maybe you're kind of shifting from one leg to the other, right? Maybe you're doing like little circles with your hips in that bottom squat position, circles the other way. Just open up your hips as much as you can. I think that would help a lot. Okay. And then what you can also do is a ankle box squat, ankle box stretch. Okay. What this does is essentially just stretches out your Achilles tendon so that you don't have to rely so much on elevating your heels. You still will elevate your heels, but it'll feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more stable doing it. So to do the ankle box stretch, what you would do is just get a box or a bench, obviously, and then put one foot up onto the bench and then actually grab onto the bench with your hands or the box and pull your body weight into your knee while keeping your full foot flat on the ground, on the bench. Okay, so again, one foot on the bench, grab the bench, pull your body weight into your knee so that you can stretch your Achilles tendon. It does not work if you lift your heel up off of the bench. Your foot must stay flat on the bench, okay? If you do that 30 seconds again, and in that position too, don't just like sit there, kind of like rock back and forth a little bit, do little circles this way, circles that way, 30 to 60 seconds max each foot, and then get the goblet, sit down there 30 to 60 seconds max, not just not just stationary, but kind of being a little bit dynamic, rotating around, shifting from one to the other, okay? Right? And just get comfortable sitting down there. You'll feel your muscles relax a little bit. And yeah, you could argue that may decrease performance, but I would much rather you have just like better quality repetitions first, and then we can work on increasing weights and stuff. Overall, not too bad. Yeah, I already like the positioning a lot better here. And yeah, it's just the range of motion that we need to work on. So what we'll probably do, you know what? Here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. I'm just going to make a note inside of my very, very, very lengthy list of workout programs I got to get up for this week. We're going to no BSS for Sarah, only walking lunges. So I'm going to give you some walking lunges instead for right now. We're going to get strong, being able to get your knee close to the ground. It'll honestly feel a lot more challenging that way too, because we're able to do an exercise that you can actually do properly and at the full extent, and it will feel more challenging because of that. We'll get stronger there, and then we'll get back to the Bulgarian split squat. Okay. Not gonna lie, feeling pretty good about this, but please let me know. Okay, so this is Sarah again. This is her on her deadlift, it looks like. Yeah, this looks pretty good. So what I want you to do, Sarah, is I want you to skip back on this video. Oh, sorry, I need to share my screen again. Maddie, what up? Welcome. We are just reviewed yours. Were you here for your review? Sorry, I stopped sharing my screen. I need to share it again now. Let me see. Let me share. Share my screen. Lift and learn. All right. Okay. Before we continue on any further, this is definitely the time now for us to be like, what up, what up, what up? I'm just going to ask, Raven, you were here first. Go ahead, share a win. Unmute, share a win. Morning. Damn. Wow. Okay, cool. Yeah, no excuses, just making it happen no matter what. I love to hear it. Thank you so much. Maddie, welcome to the first live call, I think, for you. Share a win. Nice, nice. Yeah. Keep smashing it. Enjoy it. You have to embrace it because they will come down again. So, yeah, enjoy it. Okay, cool. Yeah, was there something else for you? Okay. Cool. Yeah, I did your review. Really, really nice. And again, you can go back and watch it. I'll just tell you right now while you're here. I think your feet are too narrow for your squat. I think you need to open them up a little bit and allow your hips to sink in between your thighs. Okay, so you need to open up your thighs a little bit as you're squatting. Push your knees outwards so that you can sit down a little bit deeper. You'll feel a lot more stable that way. And I think that you're stronger on the deadlift too. I think you can do a little bit more. But we're gonna yeah, I'm gonna use what you gave me because those were good lifts either way, and then we're gonna use percentages of 1 rep maxes in your next lift. So what you'll be doing when you get in is, say for example, I'll make your 1 rep max deadlift a little bit heavier than what you gave me, and then maybe you'll have like 70% of that. So you'll just use your calculator on your phone, the 250 times 0.7. That's the number that you use to lift for that many reps. Yeah, but I'll give you a breakdown personally when I get that program ready for you this weekend too. Cool, cool. Okay, Sarah. So yeah, what I was gonna say for you, Sarah, is to go back. Actually, ironically, we're just talking with Maddie. Go back to the video of Maddie's earlier in this recording, and take a look at how she was able to create tension in the bar before lifting the weight off the ground in the deadlift. Okay, because what you're doing, and I think you're actually trying to. It looks like you're trying to do it properly, but you're still like, see how your hips are down and relaxed, and then right before the weight, watch your hips. I'm going to actually slow this down. This is how I know. This is how I can identify this, just so you guys can take a look at it together too. This is how I know you don't have tension in the bar before you start lifting, because watch your hips start moving up and the bar is still stationary on the ground. It's very slight, but you'll notice your hips will come up before and the bar will stay stationary on the ground. So watch this. See that? That split second where your hips are coming up before the bar, that tells me that your hips were not in an optimal position before you started lifting the weight. So what you need to think about here, Sarah, and this goes for everybody, this is probably the biggest takeaway for the whole video for everybody listening, okay? Write notes on this shit. Bring your hips up as high as you need to before initiating the lift to the point where you feel tension in your hamstrings. Okay? You should feel a lot of tension in your hamstrings and your glutes before you even lift the weight off the ground. How do we create that tension? Well, we create that tension by first off keeping a flat back, because if you just straighten your legs but your back was completely rounded, you won't feel any tension in your hamstrings. It needs to be tense against something, and that tension gets created against a flat back. So keeping the back nice and flat the way that you flat the way that you did, which is nice. Okay, cool. Keeping the back flat, okay? And then raising your hips up. Eventually you're going to feel some tension in the hamstrings. They're going to feel really tight, okay? So armpits down to the hips, stick the butt out, raise the hips up till you feel that tension. And then at that position, that's when you can now lift the bar up off the ground. That way we don't have any like clicking sound. You already have tension before you lift. You're safer. You're going to be able to lift more, better bar path, more efficient lift, all those things. So the lift itself is actually, other than that tiny little thing, which actually it's not a huge deal, but I am emphasizing it a lot because it is important. It's really good. The only other problem that I have with this This is too light. That bar's coming up like butter. Looks like you could power clean that up. I know it doesn't feel that way. And like I said with Maddie's lift, or who was it? No, it was it was Maddie's lift, I think. It always looks on video so much lighter than it feels. I know that. I've seen it myself. I've done it myself. I'm like, damn, this is going to be a really heavy lift. I'm really proud. I film myself and I watch it back and I'm like, God damn it, that looks so easy, right? But it always looks a lot easier than it actually feels. But I'm telling you right now, you're stronger than this 145. Definitely 100% minimum throw 10 pounds aside each time on each side for the next time that you do this. And realistically, you probably can get up to 185, so another 25 pounds each side within the next 4 weeks if you're being really intentional with your lifting and really good with your technique. Okay, that would be like on the upper end, but definitely still possible. Okay, went up and felt pretty good about my form. Maybe you could even be down a bit still, but I actually feel better about it overall. I'm dyslexic or this was typed incorrectly. Went up in weight, felt pretty good about my form. Maybe could even be down a bit more. I assume you mean just like with your range of motion or your depth. Let's take a look. You have a really good bench technique. I've looked at your bench a lot before in the past, and it looks really good. Is that a 35? Because I know you've done 95 before. That better be a 35 each side. Buttery smooth, easy peasy. 2, good. This looks really good, Sarah. Yeah, this is really, really good. The only feedback that I have for you here, Sarah, nice job. Wow. Risky there. Got the clips on it and everything. I highly recommend everybody do not put clips on when you're benching, especially if you don't have a spotter, because in the event that you fail and that thing is sitting on your chest, your last ditch effort to save yourself before you suffocate and die underneath the barbell at the gym is to be able to like tilt the bar one way and let the weight slide off. But if you got them clipped up, you basically have locked and sealed yourself in a unfortunate event. But the lift itself looks great. The only thing I would say you need to maybe do that will help with the stability and keeping that bar path nice and clean is squeeze the pinkies. Remember that one? Focus on squeezing the pinkies really tight, because when you squeeze your pinkies, naturally what happens is this rotation happens in the shoulder. Okay, when you squeeze the pinkies really, really hard, especially against something, a surface, then it rotates the shoulders in. When the shoulders are in, the elbows come in a little bit, and it creates this tension horizontally in the bar. What you're doing is like imagining you're breaking chopsticks. You're going like this, snapping it. You're obviously not going to snap that barbell, but creating that tension and then trying to press it with that tension created the entire time is going to make that bar feel a lot more stable. Okay. Let's take a look real quick at what we got in the chat. Raven said, "Oh, I got one actually. A win, better than what I said." Okay, go ahead and unmute and share your win. Yeah. Damn. Okay, what's the PR? Obviously. Okay. Damn, that's pretty solid. How many reps? Damn. Nice. Okay, cool. So you definitely have 400 for a couple. 400 pounds. You could do 400 pounds for like one or two. Yeah. 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 Either way, it's 250 is 250, right? 250 for 12 on the last set. Whew, talk about a burnout. I bet your quads felt awesome after that. I feel you, dude. I started reincorporating. That's good. No, that's a huge win. That's really good. I started reincorporating front squats in my workouts. And so I have like an upper body day and then a squat day, which is 5 sets of 4 repetitions of like a heavy squat for me. And then after that is the front squat for three sets of that. And then the next day is a 10K run. So this is the next day after the run, which followed up after the squats. My thighs are feeling it. But one of my goals is to have some big ass sexy legs. You know what I'm saying? Samuel Ramirez. Here we go, brother. Really proud of this achievement. 265. After I recorded this, I was able to hit 270. Let's go. I remember seeing this. I don't know if I reviewed this one or if you got this one in late. I wish they gave us a timestamp. It does. Look at that. Tuesday at 12:31. Am I just reviewing old ass videos at this point? No, that's 4 days ago. That's a week ago. Jasmine's. I know I reviewed Jasmine's. And if this is Tuesday, hold on a second. What am I looking at right now? That was on Tuesday. Yeah. You posted on Tuesday, so we did on the 26th. I did that one. Alrighty. We already got that one for you, Sam. Hope you got a ton of value on that last one. Hope everyone else got a ton of value on this. If you are watching this on Apple Podcasts, give me a subscription. And then maybe shoot me a message on Instagram, because I don't know if like anybody else looks at this stuff, but I have no idea how to like review analytics on podcast stuff. And I'm so curious to know like how many people are watching or subscribing. Like I don't know how to view that stuff. So if you are watching it or listening on Apple Podcasts, Taylor Hinton Speaks His Mind, shoot me a message on Instagram. Let me know what your biggest takeaway is, what you like, what kind of stuff you'd like to hear more or less of. I'd appreciate that. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment your favorite lift or the one that I reviewed. Or maybe you think that I'm bullshitting you guys and you think that I could have done it better, or I missed something, or I don't know, whatever. Give me a comment, share, a view review, a subscription, whatever. I'd appreciate that very much. For all of our clients, thank you so much for being you, for crushing it. Maddie, very excited to see you tomorrow morning in 24 and a half hours, where we're going to do our in-person sauna sweat session. Whoever can sit in there and match my time in the cold tub, there's going to be something that they're going to get. And I actually don't even know what it is yet, but I'm going to make it worth your while. So that's it for right now. Hope you guys all have an amazing weekend. Kill it. Hit your macros. Get your training in. Lift heavy. Hit some PRs. And I'll see you on Monday for Mindset Monday. Ooh, very, very last thing too. We are going to be shifting these call times to 6:30 a.m. PST starting next week. Reason being is because most people aren't able to jump on at 9 a.m. We're working and you got kids and you got stuff going on. So hopefully 6:30 a.m. works for more people. Love to get more people coming in on here. That's it. Have a good day. Peace out.